Hi there, Jennifer Vanderbeek, Imagine Artist in Residence here, and in today's video I am making this cute Mer-Monkey card for the wet theme. I started with a couple of shades of blue cardstock, a light and a dark. It's actually double-sided, so it's the same cardstock, just two different size pieces. And I am using this lovely die from Waffle Flower to create my center motif. I cut it out of the smaller part, and then I'm going to actually use all the pieces, just in different ways. I traced this larger circle on my matting piece, and I am creating the splash effect, like, kind of like a burst or splash effect by cutting and folding out the center of what would be the background. And then I'm going to wrap it around the frame part of the die cut, which I'm also embellishing, giving some little highlights with the Moonlight White Brilliance pad. And I'm using tear tape to put most things together. I'll be using some on-point glue in a minute. These the little bursts or the splashes, they were a little tricky to get to hold down. I found that the best trick was to fold them over where I wanted them and then kind of score with my bone folder around the perimeter of the circle, just to kind of get them so that it was a flat surface that I was then gluing flat to flat with the on-point glue and then using the bone folder to burnish it a little bit. Really, all you're trying to do is get it to hold just long enough for you to get the top piece on, which is going to enclose all those edges anyway. So it doesn't have to be maximum hold, but you got to have it strong enough. Now I'm using some Goosebumps in shimmer, I believe, to coat the splashes and make a little bit of splatters elsewhere. And I just went ahead and I unscrewed the cap, and I just used the inner tube to work as like kind of a paintbrush almost. But that's to make the burst or splash areas actually look wet and shiny. And then I'm going to use that same Moonlight White Brilliance pad to add some bubbles to what is going to be sort of the watery background. And then I'm going to use the Tuxedo Black Memento ink to stamp this cute little Mer-Monkey from Waffle Flower. And I'm going to use the Tahiti Kaleidocolor pad and my water brush to paint it in. I did two versions. I always do two because if I screw one up somewhere along the line, I don't want to have to start all over again. That's just depressing. So instead, I do two, and I do each one a little differently. Like one is a little bit darker, one's a little lighter. And then once it's all said and done and cut out, then I decide which one I ultimately want to use. The Kaleidocolor pad on the craft mat was just, it's pretty much perfect. And the companion dies for this Little Mermaid set from Waffle Flower mean I don't have to fussy cut anything, and that makes me happy. So now you can see kind of how the card is going to eventually end up, but I need a sentiment. I didn't have one that I could just stamp on there, so I'm using this strip die. It's a Holtz Alterations by Sizzix, and it has all the letters on there. And I just went ahead and I cut them on 3 shades of blue cardstock. And I went ahead and ran them through my Create a Sticker so that they would all be adhesive. I don't have to worry about anything. And I used a sponge dauber and some blue and white ink to kind of create, not really an ombre effect because it's only, it's not quite that blended, but some shadow, some detail. And then I am arranging them on the card around the burst or the splash area, the splash zone. Can we call it a splash zone? I think we can call it a splash zone. And this particular die set has an outline as well as the letter itself, so I'm able to mix up those 3 sets of blue outlines and inners to make the make the sentiment a little bit more interesting. And then to make it pop a little bit more, I am going to add just a few little details with a white gel pen before moving on. Now the card was pretty good as it is, but I had a smudge up in one of the corners. I don't know where that happened. Something must have been on my craft mat and I missed it. And so I decided to turn a flaw into a feature, and I stamped and colored and cut a couple of the little fish from the Little Mermaid stamp set and die cut them out with the companion dies and added a few more air bubbles, and I'm using the On Point glue to kind of fill in those bubbles to make it a little bit, just like a delicate little gloss. And then I'm drawing in more splashes and water droplets just to kind of bring home that wet theme a little bit more. And there you have it. I love this card. I think it's so cute. It'd be great for a birthday party that's at a pool party, or just for someone who, like me, likes monkeys. It's a great summer fun card. I hope you give it a try. And, as always, for more tips and inspiration, please point your browser to imaginecrafts.com. All right, bye-bye.